Hey everybody, thanks for checking out another episode of the Aaron Advantage podcast. Today I am super excited to be joined by Kathy Wright with KLH Designs. Kathy, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I am super excited to have you here today because I've got a lot of great ideas. You and I have been in a networking group for a while now, and I know all about your background, but the people don't. And you are one of the people that I think is probably the most desired, the most sought after, the most fun information that comes to real estate, which is interior design.
Thank you. I'm flattered.
You know, honestly, I'm flattered. Somebody who can design a kitchen for Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. I mean, let's just start off by a little bit of background of how you got into interior design and how long you've been doing this, and then we'll talk some fun stuff after that.
Thank you. I have been in the industry for over 20 years.
Started when she was 5 years old, people.
Pretty much. I did start daughter of a custom home builder. So I grew up playing on job sites, lived in the subdivisions where my father was building homes, very familiar with the custom home build process and then also renovations, and took it from there. Went to school for design, took a job with a Chicago-based firm, and spent a lot of time in Michigan working on clients' second homes along the lakefront in Lake Michigan.
Which I gotta say, just some of the photos you've shared of the barn home that you did, just absolutely stunning.
Thank you very much. And it was great to be up there, great to live up there. But as life would have it, a couple things changed up, and I took a job down with Masterbrand and started designing for their photography sets and traveling displays. So that is how the invitation with Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg came about to create the kitchen for their cooking show.
And let's talk a little bit about the kitchen you created for their cooking show. Obviously, you had a dichotomy of design between Martha and Snoop. Which one did you prefer, and how fun was it to kind of work with them to get that taken care of?
Well, Martha's team took care of hers.
Gotcha.
When I was at Masterbrand, we created Martha Stewart's cabinet line. So if you wanted to purchase cabinets at Home Depot that were under the Martha Stewart label, those are coming out of Masterbrand, or were at the time. So it was Snoop Dogg who needed a set to offset Martha for their cooking show.
Offset is a good word for it.
And we took that on and just designed. To be honest, it was a stage, so it wasn't
Right.
about the details of the kitchen, but creating a set that looked great for them. And in the end, I think it's okay to say that they didn't care to promote Snoop Dogg a whole lot. So they didn't end up talking about the kitchen design much, which was disappointing, but it was still fun. Still keep the picture in my portfolio just as a great conversation piece.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure to put a picture of that Snoop Dogg kitchen right here for anybody who's watching on video, because honestly, I was just blown away at how cool it was. So obviously you've worked well with kitchens and other things, but you've also mentioned that you've helped people design second homes on lake houses. What I think is the most interesting about listening to you talk every week is whether it's a studio apartment or a mega mansion, you have great tips for people to utilize to make their space more welcoming and more functional for themselves. So when it comes to interior design, what's the most important thing that you do as a designer when you're first meeting with a client to make sure you make their space what they're looking for?
My mission is to enhance how you and your family live in your home or your space. So I come to you and talk about what's working for you, what's not working for you. If it is your kitchen, for example, you'll say, we love the space, but there's just not enough room when everyone comes together. Or my wife has taken on cooking, or I've taken on this new endeavor. We just don't have enough space for the new appliances, the serving trays, whatever it might be that's not working for you in your space.
Right.
So from there, we take a look at the space, take measurements, and a bit of an inventory about what you have and what it is that you're looking for to achieve. So that might be reinventing the space with new cabinets. That might be going a little further and taking space from an adjacent room so we can rehab that kitchen to fit exactly what those details are that you're looking for. And that doesn't apply to just kitchens. That same thing for every space in your home: bathrooms, living spaces, bedrooms. Clients come to us. If you walk through any space, you'll ask them, what do you love about your home? What is not working for you? And my goal is to solve what is not working for you so we can create an interior space that really does enhance how you live.
Excellent. Now, I know another thing that you do, not just interior spaces. We've got another one of our friends who has helped or asked you for help with his exterior space. So is that something that you specialize in as well, or do you try to focus primarily on the interior spaces?
We focus primarily in the interior spaces, but we understand that living extends to the exterior as well. So clients come to us and say, I want outdoor cooking spaces, outdoor relaxing spaces. It's still a place that you furnish, that you have an activity that you want to accommodate. So you might say, especially now with the outdoor TVs, this is an extension of our living space for many months of the year here. We have such mild winters, long
mild winters.
Long, mild winters. No, we do have, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin originally. So in comparison, we have much longer spring and fall here where you can extend that outdoor living space. So we love collaborating with our clients to create a space that accommodates how their family is outside as much as inside too.
I think that's fantastic. You've mentioned a few things that really got me thinking about this. You've talked about you've done furniture, you're talking about, TVs and all these other things. So a lot of people probably think that interior designers, all you do is pick colors and, tell them what paint or wallpaper to put on the wall. But it sounds like you're a lot more involved in the decision making of every aspect of that space and helping them really choose an overall design and feel for the room. Is that right?
That's correct. We can do everything. So for some clients, that does just mean reinventing a space as far as the finishes. As you mentioned, paint colors, area rug, perhaps changing up the layout of the furniture or new furniture. I've had clients where it's just hanging their artwork and placing accessories to make the space feel fresh and complete for them. But we do take it beyond that. If we're, like we've talked about kitchens and bathrooms, we can take it down to the studs, whole house renovation. I've done that for myself a couple times. So I'm very familiar with the process.
Very nice.
I know the curve of you're super, super excited. You dive in and then a couple weeks in, you're like, how long is this project going to take?
Why did I decide to do this? That's always the case.
There's always going to be a hiccup. So I always prepare my clients for that. We are tearing your house apart. Something's going to happen. Something's going to come up. If anyone's ever watched any of the HGTV shows, when they have that turning point in the show of, oh no, we didn't see this coming, but we budgeted the extra 10% for the uh-ohs, and we will make it work. And it is true. Every design goes through that process. But
100%. I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, if you're watching HGTV to understand the real estate transaction process, stop. It's not real. Don't believe it. If you're watching it to understand that on every single renovation project they do, something comes up unexpected, that's more realistic. That is something you should anticipate.
That's correct. I had the pleasure of doing actually a kitchen for one of the HGTV shows. Nice. The family had quadruplets.
Oh, my.
And needed a little more space in their kitchen so they could better serve their 4 children. And it was a fantastic opportunity to work with a great, unique client. But as you're saying, it does not happen in a weekend like they put on the show. And it does not happen. It just doesn't in real life. But it is worth it in the end that we can create those spaces that create the new living space for you and your family.
Excellent. And you're talking about, the fact that you're looking at maybe potentially cannibalizing another portion of a room and doing these things. So it sounds like you're working hand in hand with like general contractors and people who are coming in and doing the carpentry and things as well, not just picking out and designing it, but actually making sure that you can rework the space if necessary.
Absolutely. That's, as I mentioned, with my background in new home construction. And then when I was in Michigan, a lot of those clients weren't there at their home. So it was our job to serve as the project manager to keep the contractor on schedule, answer their questions. And a lot of clients appreciated that we would field that phone call before the client did. If we needed information from the client, we would certainly bring them in the loop. But if it was something that we could resolve with the contractor and just keep the project moving forward, we would do that for them as well.
And honestly, with that experiential knowledge that you have, it's probably a lot easier for you to answer those questions from a contractor than most people who are trying to get this job done anyways, right?
I try my best. But like I said, you just never know what's also going to come up in a project. So that's part of the fun of it.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about something that is probably the most fun topic, and that's how we see the changes in trends and the new finishes that are all in style. And I hear brass is making a comeback.
It is. It is true. I haven't seen it yet in a whole house, but definitely as an accent.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of what is the most current in design. And what I try to do for my clients is design something that is unique to you. I don't focus on a particular design aesthetic. I want to talk to you about how you live with your family, what it is that you're looking for. You may say to me, we love mid-century modern. We love boho chic. And I have no problem taking elements from there. But it is not my goal to just create a space that's a magazine cover. My goal is to create a space that's going to serve you well and your family well. You know, we all work hard, and at the end of the day, you want to sit down and be comfortable and put your feet up. Back in the day, I was actually featured in Doggy Aficionado magazine because we had a dog-friendly interior. You know, we live in our homes. We live with our families. We live with our pets. You want a home that's going to be a comfortable reflection of that, but you also want something that does have some tailored style and does fit the aesthetic that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
So there is a big trend still out there of boho chic. I think in light of the past couple of years, people went really casual, just wanted to go home and kind of melt into their environments.
Some of us went home and like never left. I mean, that the move to people working from home has been tremendous.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you right now, you know, in my business, I have a lot of people that they decided after they got stuck in their house for a while that this just doesn't work anymore. You know, we need a bigger space because I need that at-home office and these things to do. So I know that that's something that, you know, really comes as a big question for me. Is like, you know, do you have any ideas on different things we can do to make this space work better for us when we can't make that move? And that it's great to have a resource like you that can come in and say, hey, look at it this way and try to make these design changes and everything else to fit your actual needs and not just what it looks like.
We found ourselves designing a lot of flexible spaces over the last couple of years, no surprise. But it was one of those opportunities that kind of forced a change that, again, really worked well for those individuals because now they have that flexibility. Several clients have guest rooms that they only used a couple times a year of that. So why not put your guest bed into a sofa bed where you don't have to use it every single day, and you can put a desk in that space and you can close the door and get away from your children. Not that you have to escape your children, but when you need that quiet space
sometimes you need to escape. It's okay. No judgment here.
Because the whole previous trend of the open floor plans, we're seeing kind of a step away from that as we might not need such open spaces. People still need their individual spaces to retreat to, whether that is for work or whether that is a place to go relax in your home. So building those workspaces in, those flex spaces in, people find even when you couldn't go to the gym for a while, people still have those hobbies and have those interests and want a space for that. So
yeah, and I'll tell you right now, you know, my wife and I, we lived in our house about 4 years now, and once I started working from home more, I was like, you know, hey, sitting at the kitchen table was great when the kids, you know, weren't around running and doing things here all the time. But I finally got a space where we have a 4-bedroom home. Our girls share a room. They have a toy room. And then I was like, hey, we got this empty space. So I got this great office that's at my house. It's got a TV so I can relax in there. I've got, you know, my desk, and then I've also got a nice lounge chair, and it's the perfect flex space that really kind of came to my mind because of the conversations we were having about, hey, when you're home, you need these spaces where you can go and retreat, and it made all the difference in the world to me.
Absolutely. That's a perfect example of how, just what you're saying, it's a flex space. And then if someone did come to visit, they could take over that space for a little bit, but it doesn't have to be a designated room for guests who often aren't there.
Absolutely. It's perfect. So we've talked a little bit about, you know, how you helped people through the pandemic who are getting stuck at home more. And this is a topic I wanted to kind of touch on because I think this is something that's going to start happening more and more, which is people are actually having friends over for the first time in a couple of years. People are hosting, and their house may not look like they think it should. So do you have any quick hacks or quick tips for some basic home staging things that people can utilize to make their home more presentable or more welcoming when they start having guests over again?
The not exciting but real answer to that is, first thing is just clean it up. So taking out the clutter, giving yourself a little bit of a blank slate gives you the opportunity to then finish that space. So as I mentioned, it might be hanging up artwork or changing out that artwork. And again, it doesn't have to be a tailored piece. It can be a reflection of your family. Maybe frame that updated photo that you finally got out and took when you did have your free time. And simple things that are easy to change would start with paint, light fixtures. Those will give you an updated feel. Proper lighting in a space always makes you feel good. It's those design details that when you walk into a space and it feels good, but you don't necessarily understand why, or you're not looking for the details of why, lighting is one of those key elements,
100%.
as well as a fresh, great paint color. that just resonates well with you. And from there, just a little bit of art, a little bit of accessories makes your space feel pulled together. And it applies to every room in your house. So, cleaned up, tidied up, whether it's your powder room, your kitchen, any of those spaces that you're going to have your guests in. And I think even though we're returning a little bit to that normal, people are still conscious of the space around them. So having a little bit of that space that you're not on top of each other, we are still seeing a lot more of the outdoor gathering. So continuing to do a lot more outdoor furniture, turning decks into screen porches, all of those help in the new normal of gathering and entertaining your friends and family.
There is no normal anymore. That is definitely the case. You've talked about paint colors and different things that people take a look at. And one of my favorite things to do is like watch the different trends every year and like what's the color of 2022 and all these different things. Back in the early 2000s, it was all beige browns and all this stuff. We went through a phase where everything was absolutely gray. You had agreeable gray, repose gray, all these different things. Are the neutral colors still the thing? I'm seeing a lot more accents and a lot more pops of color in homes these days than I have in the past. And I'm honestly the kind of person, I enjoy seeing color in homes, but it's not for everybody. So when people are trying to choose a color, what kind of advice do you give them? Like, how much should they do? What kind of bold things can they do that maybe don't entail just paint? Are there options people can look at there?
Absolutely. And you are right on. Color is coming back. There is nothing wrong with having the neutral background. Not everything can be the foreground of your design, but people are looking for a little interest, a little focal point. Again, a way to express you and your family in your space. So painting your kitchen cabinets a bold color is a lot of fun, but that is a bold statement. That is a big commitment. So yes.
Hey, downplay the big commitment. I'm trying to convince my wife we need to do our lowers all in navy blue.
That's awesome. And you asked about color trends. Yeah, navy blue is still hot. The greens are still really popular. It's a lot of fun. And if it's done right, it will be timeless for a good period of time. But in addition to that, wall color is the easiest, just doing an accent wall. But it doesn't have to be just paint. It can be fabric. So and the same thing applies, that if your main upholstered pieces are a neutral, have fun with the pillows, have fun with the accent throws, even your area rug. Those are not significant commitments to change out in a couple of years if you're looking to change it up and do something fresh and different. Great opportunities that don't have to be something attached to your home that's a major investment to change.
That's a great point. And then I just had an epiphany, a recollection. I remember one time when you brought in some samples of some amazing different wallpapers. Yes, people, I'm going to wallpaper. It is a thing that is still in production and still in use. It's not always the best thing. You can go into some houses and be like, wow, this wallpaper's got to go. But the samples you brought in with the textures, the colors, the finishes, it is astounding to me what can be done with wallpaper these days.
That is very true. It is so nice to layer different materials in your home. That's what's going to create that great vibe that sets your space apart, that makes it feel complete and different. You are spot on with wallpapers are still around, if not making a bigger comeback. But to that, and some do have the big bold patterns, everything from geometric, florals even around still. Yep. But also the textures that you talk about. So it doesn't have to be a bold pattern. It could be this layer of texture. And we've applied them in unique places before. It could be applying that layer of texture in the back of a bookcase as we're finishing a space. So again, you're not committing to papering your entire living room, but you've created these finished bookcases that look curated and beautiful and are easy enough to change up down the road if you're looking for something different. Every
single time you mention something like that, I just have all these ideas of things that I can do. I'm just like, I've never even considered doing the back of a bookcase, but I've got some cool ideas that I could do. Our master bedroom is one spot that we haven't gone back through and repainted since we bought our house. And the previous owner had this built-in bookcase in our bedroom, and it's lovely and it's backlit and it looks really nice, but it's pink in there. And I'm like, I got to do something with this. And now I'm like, I've got some ideas. This is a great podcast for myself. Kendra, be listening to this. We're going to have some conversations on this one.
Yeah, bookcases, that's a perfect example of something that's not a huge commitment in your home, but a great opportunity to make it your own and a great opportunity to tailor it and design it well. So whatever that finish is, if it's an accent color in the back of it, if it is layering some wallpaper for a texture in the back of it, then bringing in a layer of photos. So it is your family, a reflection of you, maybe a reflection of, your family doing their hobbies. So it's a great memory, something that you want to see every day. And then if you have, the majority of my clients have some kind of accessories, whether it's pieces that they've collected from travels or pieces that are family heirlooms. It is nice to display them so you can see them and enjoy them, but to display them in a way that's tailored and finished that's appropriate for your space. One of my favorite stories, I think you were there that day, that I shared with a client or with our networking group, was a client who had a glass cat collection from her childhood. And, you know, that's one of those moments where you keep a straight face looking at your client.
I think Frank and I just like looked at each other like, is this happening?
And you sure, you know, you're employing me to do this great job, and that's what I'm here for, and that's important to you. And sure enough, she had a library space with all of these beautiful glass cabinets, and we did just take one small section of that, but laid out all of her little glass cats. And are they my thing? No. But was it important to her? Absolutely. And so we gave them a place that had a presence in her home, but it wasn't right in your face. Mm-hmm. And my favorite punchline, she walked in and said, "Man, you make my crap look good."
I love that. That is one of my favorite stories that you have told, because I was just like, how do you take glass cats and make it look good? And then just to hear you describe it in the way that it was done, I was like, okay, she can literally do anything with anything. So another thing that I want to touch on, because you keep mentioning tailoring spaces. What happens if you have multiple spaces in your house that you want to do in different kind of themes? Is it a faux pas to have different kind of design choices from different rooms in the house? Or do you need to make sure that every finish you have for every metal surface is exactly the same?
Absolutely, you can mix and match. That is part of the eclectic design that, again, I think makes your space unique to you. Jumping back to when you started in on the brass and brass being accents, that's absolutely true. And there is no harm in mixing metals. You want to keep some intention of the layers being consistent. Mm-hmm. So for example, your door hardware, pick a finish for your door hardware, run with it throughout your home. Your cabinet hardware, we look at that as kind of a jewelry for the cabinets, if you will. So pick one finish for the cabinets in that room, but then let it be. And think of it like it belongs to that piece of furniture, even if it's in the kitchen. Think of that cabinet as a piece of furniture in this example. That then in the living room, your next piece of furniture can have a different hardware finish, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I actually think it makes it very interesting to set it apart and be something different.
You know, I never thought of the hardware on the cabinets as jewelry for the cabinets, but now that you mentioned that, I was at a client's home this past weekend, and they were asking me some questions about things they need to finalize before they put it on the market. And they're like, well, we have this new hardware, but if you tell us we don't have to change it out, we're not going to. And they have brass hardware that's a little dated. It's not terrible. Still looks nice. But all the fixtures, they just remodeled the kitchen, are all an oil rubbed bronze look. And I'm just like, hey guys, you don't have to change it out. But if you do, it's going to completely change the look of your kitchen, and you're going to match your metals in here. That looks really nice. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what you have in other spaces, because this is going to pop. And they're going through and they're making those changes. And I'll tell you what, thinking of it as jewelry on the cabinetry is going to be something that I start utilizing when I'm going to talk to other people and say, hey, you can put some jewelry on there and make it look a lot better. You want it to be this tarnished, old, nasty stuff, or do you want it to be this hot, new, sexy stuff? And that's going to be a new line that I use for sure.
I love that. And that's another great example where it takes you, maybe an hour or two drill to sit there and change out all the cabinet hardware. It's just not a major investment, not something that you can't change again down the road. But it does make it, just as you said, if something is showing up dated and you want that space to feel fresh and new, that's another easy opportunity, is updating your hardware. And there are so many opportunities out there for your hardware to be different. It doesn't necessarily have to be your whole kitchen, but I'm doing a unique space right now. We're doing a flower studio for a woman, and her favorite thing are dragonflies. And we found someone who made custom dragonfly pewter cabinet knobs, and we're putting dragonflies on all of the cabinets in her flower studio, and that's a perfectly appropriate space to, again, make it a reflection of exactly what she loves. And we're having a lot of fun with it.
That sounds awesome. I didn't even know you could find stuff like that. That is incredible.
We have done all sorts of things. Even golf balls as knobs. I did a recreational space for someone that had a golf simulator, and there was a couple of cabinets in that space. So why not put golf balls on there? It makes it interesting. It is fun. It is totally appropriate for that space.
100%. And I know golf is a big thing. I actually showed a house yesterday. Now, this was a little bit older home, and it was a little bit dated, but they had wallpaper in this office off of the primary bedroom, and it was different holes mapped for different courses offices around the world. And I'm like, hey, if that's your thing and that's your passion, that's a cool thing to be able to utilize in your space.
Absolutely. A perfect example of a reflection of what their hobby is in their own home. And great for them that they did that. That's a great example of how then it's a reflection of you so you can enjoy that space. If that same person, if they had said, no, you have to have a gray, sitting room or office, you can't put your golf in your own office, that's no way to live. We all want to create spaces that are a reflection of us because we sit in that space to energize ourselves and to be who we are. So have that be a reflection of you.
I couldn't agree with that more. We're running out of time here. We've touched on a lot of great things. The fact that you can help people with any space they have with just quick little ideas that you've offered here today, I think is fantastic. There's so many topics that we've touched on that we could do entire episodes on. But if you had one thing that you want to tell somebody about what they can do today to maximize a space and make it their own, just a quick tip, what would that be?
I think I've said it a couple of times. I know I have, making it a reflection of your own, but just that. What is it that works for you and re-energizes you? If it's you have a family and you want to see your family even when they're not in the space, put up that great portrait. Invest in the nice frame. Give it the appropriate space and hang that up. Or if it's artwork that's a reflection of places you've lived, places you've traveled, that's a reflection of you and your family. So make that space your own with that. And then just pick it up and put it together. So it might be updating the throw and the pillows in your living room and rearranging your coffee table. You want to, it's just like when you walk into a beautiful hotel, you walk in and think, this is special. You deserve to feel that same way when you walk into your own home. That at the end of the day, after you've tucked the kiddos in, pick it up a little bit, put your coffee table back together, because it's a reflection of how you live in your home and you can enjoy that space.
So what you need to do is stop worrying about other people's thoughts, make it your own, and come home to a space that you love where you want to live. So I couldn't agree with that more. That is absolutely fantastic information. Kathy, thank you so much for coming in today. If somebody wants to reach out to you and have you come and take a look at their space, what's the best place that they could reach out to you at?
Give me a call, shoot me a text at 219-617-7550. The initial consultation is complimentary, and we'll just come out and take a look at your space, talk about what's working, what's not working, and what we can do for you.
Fantastic. I can tell you right now from the photos that I've seen, if you have any questions about how to design your space, Kathy Wright, KLH Designs, I could not put a better stamp of approval on her work.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thanks, Kathy. Hey, this is Aaron Luttrull. Thank you so much for checking out the Aaron Advantage podcast. If you would like to be a guest, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. We're always looking for other people to interview.